Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. We do have some breaking news in the MLB world. It appears that Luis Castillo has been traded, to the Seattle Mariners. Now, this is a big, big deal. We're going to keep up to date on, the latest surrounding the news here. There's obviously a lot to cover with him being dealt. This is an all-star level, starter. Obviously, this is a player that is a huge impact, move the needle guy. And if you look at what the Seattle Mariners are, they're very, very close to being in that contention. My question is, what did they sacrifice to go ahead and get Luis Castillo? That's something we have to be asking ourselves. Did they give up too much? Did they give up not enough? Obviously, he is a starter that is definitely worthwhile. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at their top prospects. I think that's something that's very noteworthy for sure. Looking at what Luis Castillo can bring to a rotation, this guy has some nasty, nasty stuff. So, really, really exciting for the Seattle Mariners, a team that has been competitive this year. They felt like they needed to add another starter into that rotation. They already have some nice pieces in that rotation, but really bolstering it is a big, move the needle impact player for sure. So, yeah, you'd think, I don't know who this is going to be. I have no idea, what we could honestly be looking at here. I got to see kind of let's take a look honestly and see what we have for. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and then we'll jump into the Mariners' top prospects. There's quite a few guys that, they definitely could consider moving in that deal. I'm kind of curious to see, exactly where they're going to go with it. Are they going to trade a guy, as good as, like an Emerson Hancock in that? And, what was that Reds asking price? Because, this had to be a very, very sizable offer if they were, willing to, go out and get a guy like, Castillo's caliber. So that's something we do have to consider here for sure. Luis Castillo is an absolute stud, absolute unit of a starting pitcher. I'm still trying to, go ahead and see, what the details could potentially be. Let's take a look at his numbers so far this year. That's something that is very noteworthy. How has he been pitching? I'm going to go ahead and keep updating us here on, the latest from the MLB insiders, and I think this is a player that definitely moves the needle. So far this season, definitely a huge impact guy. He's 4-4 in 14 starts. He has a 2.86 ERA, 85 innings pitched. He's walked 28 and struck out 90. So overall, Luis Castillo is, he is that guy. He is that guy. He is going to be a very, very tough guy to, obviously trade. If you're the Cincinnati Reds, it was tough. It was tough for them to go ahead and do that at this point, but they kind of saw ultimately the writing on the wall. I mean, at this point in his career, I believe he's 29 years old and doesn't really fit the new timeline as well. Now, obviously, there were concerns about paying him. So we do have some predictions here. What it potentially could look like. Now, this would be an interesting trade from the Reds' point of view. Looking at guys like Marlowe and Miller as well. This is a really good group because if you look at Cade Marlowe, the 14th best prospect, I think that's a very good point. I think that's a very realistic, trade package for him. Because Kalenic, his numbers down in the minors have not been super, super great. Or at the level, excuse me. Let's take a look at what he hit when he was at the major league level, because that is something that is very noteworthy for sure. When he was at the major league level, if we go back to his 2021 season, he hit 181 in 337 at bats and had 14 home runs. So he did display a little bit of power. 43 RBIs, 6 stolen bases. I'm kind of curious if they ended up moving Jared there. He's 6'1", 206. he's one of those guys that a lot of people were excited about. He was a top 10 prospect at one point. Obviously having that very, very disappointing 2021 kind of changed the narrative on him. A lot of people were not super excited about what his upside is. But I mean, me personally, I've not given up on the idea that he could be a good major league player. I think some people are overreacting a little bit to how that rookie season had gone for him. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna keep checking Twitter here. We'll make sure that we are up to date on the latest. Luis Castillo, man, I know a lot of teams were in on him. I know there was a good amount of teams like the Minnesota Twins, obviously the Seattle Mariners. I feel like even Texas probably made a call here. Well, we do have the official trade. Uh, Novelty Marte, Levi Stout, Edwin Arroyo, Dylan Moore. Three of the Mariners' top 5 prospects. Oh my. Three of the top 5 in the Mariners system. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable, guys. Holy. Hold on. I'm going to get this written out for you guys and so you can see. Wow. Noelvi Marte, Levi Stout. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of that trade after knowing that latest information. Is that something that you guys would have done yourselves? The Mariners must feel that they're really onto something here, and that wow, that's unbelievable. Holy moly, that's the package. That's the package you guys are looking at here. I'm gonna go ahead and trade official. Yeah, so there's that trade official for you. Holy moly, I cannot. Whoop, let's do that. Yeah, cannot believe it. You look at this from the sense of. There we go. Unreal. I can't believe that. What? I mean, great, honestly, phenomenal return for the Reds. If you're the Cincinnati Reds, this trade makes sense to me. It so does. Getting Marte, getting Arroyo, Stout, all those guys are huge additions to this team. Arroyo is only 18. He could be the potential, shortstop of the future. He's a switch hitter. This is a guy that is going to do a lot of really good things with the Cincinnati Reds. And, we got Jackson Miller here saying, MLB The Show trade logic right there. Wow. I'm honestly shocked at the results of that because Luis Castillo, to me, is a phenomenal starter. He is. My concern is, are the Seattle Mariners pushing the chips forward a little prematurely? Let's be a little realistic about what they can be in that AL. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that just happened. All things considered, man, I was not expecting that. I think that the demand was insanely high. There's no question about it. The demand for a lot of different teams that were starting pitcher needy. The Yankees were calling on him. That the Mets were probably calling on him. There's a lot of different teams that rightfully should have been calling on him. And it shows that, and now we do have a comment here saying that it's not Dylan Moore, it's Andrew Moore. Well, so from Ken Rosenthal, that's what I'm getting is Dylan Moore. And I was right. Okay, so there is that correction. You are right. You are absolutely right. It is Andrew Moore. So good catch from my comment section there. Way to be on top of it. I just saw that from Rosenthal here. Looks like the Rangers were really in on Castillo, and this is kind of what I've been talking. This is what I've been talking about with the Rangers too. They've been insanely aggressive in trade talks, and people were kind of clowning me when I said that they might be in on Juan Soto. But I feel like Young at the general manager spot has been super aggressive. To me, this makes a lot of sense. But getting back to it, the Rangers were in on him. I know the Minnesota Twins were hard in on him as well. I feel like there was a lot of teams that felt he was attainable, but not astronomically overpriced. Now, kind of looking at what they ended up getting in what the Reds ended up getting in Marte, currently in high A ball right now. Um, he's obviously a shortstop prospect. He's 6'1", 181. The scouting goes 50 hitting grade, 60 power grade, 60 running grade, 55 arm, 50 fielding, overall 55. But the Marte is going to be a nice centerpiece for the Cincinnati Reds moving forward, in my opinion. I just think that he makes sense. This is a guy that makes sense for him. But obviously, Andrew Moore is another interesting player. Edwin Arroyo is an absolute unit. Um, Levi Stout, Stout's another player that I think was a little underrated in the grand scheme of this trade as well. I'm gonna just once again take a look at the top prospect here. Unbelievable, guys. Let me know in the comments section below what you grade this, because this is a tough one for me to grade out. I would go ahead and probably honestly give the Seattle Mariners probably a B, in the idea that if it doesn't work out, it's very tough because they gave up a ton to at least make the playoffs, be competitive in that regard. However, it's also, they're getting a terrific player. So it's hard to knock that. So yeah, once again, a little recap here. They got the number 1 prospect in Marte, the number 3 prospect in Arroyo, the number 5 prospect in Stout. Yeah, and then Andrew Moore is that other piece of that. So overall, man, what an absolute haul that was. What an absolute haul. I did not think it was going to be that much. I thought a guy that would have been kind of interesting for Seattle to throw out there was Sam Carlson. Sam Carlson was prep arm. He was throwing in the high 90s, and he ended up getting hurt multiple times, and he just hasn't been able to really find that true footing at the major league level, because he hasn't been able to make it there. But I felt like that was an arm they could have probably distributed out there on his health and his future there. He's a 24th ranked prospect in the system. Definitely thought he was going to be part of a trade, but a lot of red flags with the health there. But yeah, looking at Arroyo and Stout's a right-handed arm. He's 24 years old, 6'1", 195. Here is how his scouting grades are currently looking: 60 graded fastball, 50 curveball, 55 slider, 60 changeup, 45 control, 50 overall. The guy out of Lehigh University. Definitely is one of those players that should be ready sooner rather than later. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2019. ETA is actually next year already. So, the Reds are getting a very well-established guy right there. I'm pretty shocked. Pretty shocked. Once again, let me know your reaction to this trade, because Luis Castillo is one of those guys we knew was going to be dealt. There's no way around it. However, I'm kind of shocked at how good of the return was for the Cincinnati Reds, and this was the ideal time. This was the perfect time because he had played very well thus this far into the season. He has been healthy. He's been good to go. I think that this is a guy that's going to be a big impact starter for the Seattle Mariners. However, I question how far is this team really going to go with that. Now, I think you have to kind of re-level your expectations with what the Seattle Mariners are. They're a really good young team, and here's the deal about Castillo: he's 29 years old. He's going to be an effective pitcher for many years to come. So I'm not really worried about like a drop off. He's not like one of those 34-year-old starters that you're like you're only gonna squeeze out a couple more years of him. No, that's not a concern at all, and I think that from the idea that they're trading for him for the long term, it makes sense. Otherwise, they would not have given up the amount that they did to go out and get him. I'm trying to look and see what else is being said. Maybe there's some other trades on the horizon. Definitely going to be, an active couple of days here. I like this from that perspective. Let's see what else is being said. Yeah, they got the best starter in the trade market. So now currently that rotation looks like Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, Luis Castillo, and this is a really good rotation. Let's not get that twisted at all. I think this is phenomenal for not only the Cincinnati Reds in terms of trade value, but also the Seattle Mariners pushing their chips forward. I don't think it's an A plus level move, but I think it's a very solid move in order to try to make the postseason, which they've struggled to do. They've really, really struggled to make that postseason. So once again, guys, hit that subscribe button. Be a part of our baseball community. I'm definitely going to continue to post more and more baseball as we continue to progress, to the trade deadline. We'll be talking, postseason. There's so much to cover in baseball. It's one of those sports that is not appreciated enough by people all around. I think baseball is definitely one of those things that is somewhat of a dying breed to some. However, let's keep that baseball community strong. Let's continue to keep doing this thing. So hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. Love talking baseball. Once again, go ahead, throw some questions in there if you're kind of curious on other moves that might be happening, or your current thoughts on the actual trade that just went down. Because Luis Castillo is, it's unbelievable. He's a Mariner. He's a Mariner. And we knew this was going to ultimately be a dogfight for the Seattle Mariners to go ahead and get a guy like him. Now, this kind of retweaks my thoughts on what is going to happen with Juan Soto, because I felt the Mariners had some really good young talent that they could have flipped in exchange for Juan Soto. I definitely felt that they were one of those teams that was quietly in the mix. Obviously, not a bigger market. However, they had the trade assets to do it. They could have paired him with Julio Rodriguez, and I think that was a team that was kind of a dark horse. Now, completely takes out the idea that the Mariners are going to be in on him. They just don't have enough now. But what's the trade package now for a guy like Juan Soto if you're kind of resetting the market to three of the top five prospects in an okay system for a guy like Luis Castillo? How about a 23-year-old superstar? What does that trade market look like for sure? That's something we have to be asking ourselves. If you're a fan of baseball in general, that's definitely in consideration. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that this just went down. So, hey, I'm going to end the stream here, guys. Subscribe if you are new. Don't want to miss out on any more baseball content. Appreciate you sticking around, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.